Armenian and Azerbaijan forces reach a ceasefire deal after 2 days of fighting flared in the Nagorno-Karabakh region.
King Charles and Queen Camilla arrive in Paris for a 3-day state visit aimed at highlighting the friendship between France and Britain.
The migrant crisis tops the agenda during talks held between the presidents of Italy and Germany in the Italian city of Syracuse.
The European Commission recommends the EU member states extend the authorization of the controversial herbicide glyphosate for another 10 years.
To the relief of residents and the international community, a ceasefire for the separatist Nagorno-Karabakh region has been reached between Armenian and Azerbaijan forces. This after local officials said scores of people had been killed or wounded. Azeri soldiers on Tuesday used heavy artillery fire at so-called Armenian positions in the region in what Baku described as an anti-terrorist operation. They initially said they would continue their operation until the separatist government of Nagorno-Karabakh dismantled itself and illegal Armenian military formations surrendered. The agreement was reached through negotiations with the Russian peacekeeping troops in the area. According to the Azeri Defense Ministry, the deal contemplates the withdrawal of Armenian military units and equipment from Nagorno-Karabakh, as well as disarming the local defense forces. Meanwhile, thousands of protesters gathered in Yerevan on Tuesday to demand that authorities defend the ethnic Armenians living in the territory. Clashes broke out with the police, and a total of 34 people, 18 civilians and 16 officers were reported to have been injured as a result.
Tensions between Azerbaijan and Armenia have been simmering long before this latest violent eruption. Euronews spoke to 2 high-level representatives on both sides for their perspectives on the causes and consequences of the recent fighting.
What did Azerbaijan? They left all these commitments and they started military aggression against peaceful people of Nagorno-Karabakh, which they claim that they are their own citizens. So right now, Azerbaijan bombing and killing their own citizens.
It was a limited operation, as a result of which military infrastructure has been neutralized to a greater extent. And today, we are glad to say that military operations has been halted from Azerbaijan side as well, while getting this message from Karabakh Armenians that they are disarming their armed forces on the ground. Azerbaijan made its intention very clear that if they disarm or decided to disarm, and Azerbaijan is ready to halt with military engagement and to start immediate contacts with the Karabakh Armenians that we have on multiple occasions invited to Yevlakh and some other cities of Azerbaijan. And yesterday, presidential administration of Azerbaijan made a wise statement, once again reiterating and our invitation to them to have this kind of context about all elements of reintegration.
Well, we had a very bad experience regarding having ceasefire with Azerbaijan. I have no information because we have very bad connections with Nagorno-Karabakh. There are different informations coming. Now, this is a new thing. Maybe it's not new thing actually, but in this process, I mean, directly attacking, villages and the peaceful settlements of people, to push them out from the Nagorno-Karabakh. During the negotiations, we were negotiating rights and security guarantees for Nagorno-Karabakh people. What do you think? Is this still actual topic? Nagorno-Karabakh people are already lost their homes. They are forced out. What do you think? Is this provision is actual now? I don't know. That's why I'm telling you. I don't know what will happen.
We are supporting the peace agenda, and we do think that sooner finalizing peace treaty between 2 countries is better for the wider region. Azerbaijan also supporting the concept of the integrated region of South Caucasus, and within that process, of course, in a ball on the court of Armenia, instead of searching and seeking their territorial claims to the neighboring countries, Armenia should also seek a good neighborly relations with the neighboring countries.
World leaders arrive in New York to listen to what Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has to say. It's the first time he has visited the United Nations headquarters since Russia's war begun. Facing a fragmented international community, he called to exclude Russia from the ranks of the UNSC.
The Ukrainian peace formula is becoming global. Its points offer solutions and steps that will stop all forms of weaponization that Russia used against Ukraine and other countries and may be used by other aggressors. For the first time in modern history, we have a real chance to end the aggression on the terms of the nation which was attacked.
Zelensky participated in many meetings, in particular with African leaders to discuss food security and also with US House Speaker Kevin McCarthy, who questioned how aid money was being spent.
What is the plan for victory? I think that's what the American public wants to know. Look, what Russia has done in invade is wrong. It's an atrocity. We want to make sure that ends. I also have always said from the beginning, no matter what the issue is, I want accountability for whatever the hardworking taxpayers spend their money on, and I want a plan for victory.
Kyiv demands more weapons and armament for its counter-offensive, which so far has had limited success. But it also needs other resources to protect civilian population and infrastructure from recurring Russian airstrikes.
Britain's King Charles III and Queen Camilla have arrived in Paris for a long-awaited state visit, postponed from March due to violent protests sweeping France. President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte welcomed the royal couple with a formal ceremony at the Arc de Triomphe. The visit comes amid a recent warming in the Franco-British relationship after years marked by Brexit talks and disputes over migrants. The French presidential palace said the three-day visit is a sign of the deep historical ties that unite the two countries. Charles and Macron then held talks at the Élysée Palace. They discussed the situation in the Sahel and Ukraine, as well as climate and biodiversity. On Thursday, Charles will address the Senate, where he's expected to give part of his speech in French.
Irregular migration was at the top of the agenda during talks held in Syracuse between the presidents of Italy and Germany. Sergio Mattarella and Frank-Walter Steinmeier, who came to the Sicilian town for an awards ceremony, shared their concerns about the issue that is proving difficult to solve and that must be dealt with at the European level.
Despite having clashed over the migration issue in the past few days, Italy and Germany have one thing in common. That's according to German President Steinmeier, who thinks that Italy and Germany are facing more difficulties in taking migrants, and he thinks that both are at the limit of their capacities. This is exactly what President Steinmeier told Italian newspaper Il Corriere della Sera in an interview that was published ahead of his three-day visit to Italy. As we know, Germany had suspended the voluntary intake of migrants from Italy, although that changed a few days ago with Germany resuming the agreement between the two countries. Now, Germany has received around 162,000 asylum requests in 2023 alone, and it's the EU country that has received the highest number of migrants arriving on Italian shores under a voluntary agreement. Now, according to President Steinmeier, the strength of bilateral relations between Italy and Germany won't be undermined by the current crisis, but he thinks, and that's what he told Italian newspaper Il Corriere della Sera, that the problem lies in the fact that what looks like a voluntary agreement should soon turn into a permanent redistribution mechanism requiring more EU countries to do their part and share the burden of the crisis. Giorgia Orlandi for Euronews in Rome.
The European Commission is recommending the EU member states extend the authorization of the controversial herbicide glyphosate for another 10 years. The proposal is based on an analysis by the European Food Safety Authority, which did not identify critical areas of concern for human or animal health. The The Commission says that the recommendation is based on solid scientific information.
En même temps, nous devons bien nous rendre compte du fait que la science ne s'arrête jamais et donc nous devons continuer à suivre de près toutes les évolutions scientifiques et nous avons donc essayé de trouver un équilibre entre d'une part la masse de données scientifiques qui soutiennent, je pense, la décision que la Commission a prise d'une part, avec la possibilité que des nouveaux éléments scientifiques peuvent apparaître.
At the same time, the European Commission still says that the use of glyphosate must be accompanied by what it calls risk mitigation measures in the vicinity of sprayed areas. The Greens and environmental organisations are already declaring their opposition to the announcement.
I think it's a catastrophe. It's completely irresponsible from the Commission to go that way with this proposal, an extension of 10 years. I mean, 5 years ago, we were close for a ban of glyphosate, and that was for very good reasons, because we don't need glyphosate for productive farming. We don't need glyphosate to control weeds. In contrary, glyphosate makes at risk, or puts at risk, really, the long-term food security.
Glyphosate is an active substance used to control plants. It's the most frequently used herbicide both worldwide and in the EU, already in use for several decades. Member States will now negotiate and vote on the issue, with a decision expected before December the 15th, when the current EU authorisation expires.